So I want to welcome everyone to Unsaid. I am your host and mental health specialist, Catie Whiting, and we continue this amazing series on trying to answer questions that have really, for myself, been unanswered. I didn't even know they were questions. So we're answering the question, what the hell is perimenopause? As we've discovered through a couple episodes that it seems I and many women my age and on are having these symptoms or changes in transition in life that we're like, what is happening to our body? So I am so grateful and so excited today to have Jennifer Maklan, who's a licensed massage therapist, and I'm gonna say it, Ayurvedic practitioner. Did I do it?
Perfect. Perfect.
So Jennifer has given us her time and her expertise this morning to go through really perimenopause, the whole transition, using myself sort of as a guinea pig through your expertise. So welcome, Jennifer. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored that you selected me to come talk with you.
Absolutely. As soon as you responded, and I was like, wow, what do you do? This is magnificent. So before we jump into all the nitty gritty, like tell our listeners they're interested, about you, how you even got into this career and this specialization.
Yeah. So I was struggling with some health problems after I got out of college, and I was experiencing anxiety and panic attacks. I had a lot of debt, and I was an art major, so I had no idea what to do to pay back that debt. And I was really nervous, and I didn't want to take pharmaceuticals because I've always been sensitive. I've always experienced like side effects from medications. So I wanted to find a different route to deal with it. And I tried a lot of different things, and the thing that worked was Ayurveda. Ayurveda is a traditional system of health and healing from India. It's probably the oldest system of health and healing on the planet. It's probably 4,000 to 5,000 years old. And the remedies that were recommended to me were really unusual, but they worked. I really felt like I experienced myself feeling centered and grounded in a way that I had never felt before. And the panic attacks never came back. So I was hooked, and I was fascinated.
Yeah.
And I just very slowly started reading about Ayurveda, and then eventually started working in the field of Ayurveda. I developed an Ayurveda directory website for Ayurvedic practitioners so people could, search the internet and find Ayurveda, because
Yeah.
20 years ago, the only place you could find these people was in the back of a book. So I thought like a directory website would be great. And a company from India just started talking to me about the website and wanted to purchase it. And so that happened, and I started working for them. And then as I was working for them and continued to see how Ayurveda could be helpful for all kinds of things, and seeing my family and friends really suffer with different ailments like we do as people, I decided that I needed to become a practitioner because there's just not enough people here in the US that can offer it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And so does, just because of my own ignorance, right? So, and keep correcting me, I'm going to keep practicing Ayurveda. So you're an
Perfect.
Ayurvedic practitioner. Yes. Okay. And you are also a licensed massage therapist. So leaving art school, like how did those two cross, just for my own insight? Did LMT first, or go ahead?
Yeah. So I was not an LMT first. I have been practicing Ayurveda for about 5 years. Just recently went to massage school, but had been learning Ayurvedic treatments for, as long as I've been studying Ayurveda. So
Yeah.
body treatments are a big aspect of healing with Ayurveda. And we do all kinds of really fascinating things, from creating these herbal poultices, or boluses they're referred to, like
Yeah.
sacks of herbs that are tied up together and warmed up and then rubbed up and down the body,
Yeah.
to herbal powder massage, to like pouring oil over parts of the body like the knee or the forehead. all kinds of really fascinating things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So not to fast forward too much, but fast forward to when I came upon you, right, and reached out to you, your practice, if I may, has perimenopause written all over it. So tell me how that formed, how you got into that transition of life.
Yeah. So most of the people that were coming to me for Ayurveda are women between the ages of 35 and 70.
Okay.
I'm also in that age range. I'm
Yeah.
48.
Yeah.
And, so I'm going through it myself,
Sure.
and, all my clients are essentially going through it,
Yeah.
whether that's their main complaint or not.
Absolutely. So it's not necessarily like they're coming to you because they're in this transitional phase, but they have these challenges or complaints, and it just tends to be in this age range of 35 to 70 that
Exactly.
they reach
Yeah.
out. Absolutely. So from your perspective and your within your scope of practice, I want to be very respectful of the language too that you use and want to use, but what from your view is perimenopause? What do you see this transition being?
Yeah. So, from the Ayurvedic perspective, what's happening is that women and men at the age of 35, 40 are in this time of life that where heat in the body is the predominant force that's there. The predominant natural force in the body is heat. When we're children, the predominant force is like water. Uh, so children, babies have these bodies that are, they're producing a lot of mucus. They may be spitting up. They're soft. Their bodies are very soft.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of water in the composition at that time. In adults, the predominant force is heat. There is there's a lot of sharpness to the mind at this time. There's a focus on career. There's a focus on family. There's, intelligence has really blossomed in this stage of life. And then the third stage of life is related to wind, dryness. So the body becomes very light in the last stage of life. It becomes light, it becomes dry, the body tissues become emaciated. So these are sort of the three stages of life.
Yeah.
And in this middle stage of life, this heat is just increasing in our bodies. And if it's not managed, if it's not removed from the body year after year, season after season, then the heat just sort of accumulates and it causes a bunch of different symptoms: hot flashes, irritability, early morning waking, mood swings, night sweats, all of these things related to heat.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes me into, and I'm selfishly, right, I'm using myself as the guinea pig in these, but takes me into myself. So if it's okay, I'm going to come to you, right, with here's why I'm coming to see you, my challenges. Just walk me through, right? Even like that first meet and greet with you, what would that look like? So 38-year-old female born, I gave birth at 32 years old. And all of a sudden in the last 6 months, I have noticed the things that you just stated, right? That there's these sweats in the night where I'm not soaked, but there's just little beads of sweat when I wake up and I'm a little bit anxious. I have this brain fog that's where I would say, hey, there'd be like a water bottle and a pencil next to each other, and I'd want you to pass me the water bottle, but I would say, pass me the pencil, even though I want the water bottle, right? The irritability, the body changing, like I constantly either feel hot or swollen, right? I feel as if things are swollen. So all of that to say, I come to you, and through your Ayurvedic approach, I'm trying to get it. Through your Ayurvedic approach, what does that look like when I first meet you? Tell me that.
Yeah. So what we do is I take a thorough health history.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know everything you've experienced in life, from your trips to the emergency room, accidents, emergencies, your births that you've given, your childhood history, what kinds of things have affected your health, and what your journey was like through that time, your relationships. These things can have a big impact on health, your mental state. And with that information, and with the information about your diet and lifestyle as well, currently, I develop a plan for bringing you back to a state of balance. So in Ayurveda, we look at the body as it's either imbalanced or it's balanced. We're born in a state of balance, Ayurveda believes. And through our, experiences in life, we become imbalanced through stressors, through relationships, through illness. All these imbalances can occur through an improper diet and lifestyle. So correcting these things, bringing the body back to a state of balance is really the goal. So I do an intake with my clients, and I create a care plan for them. And that care plan includes diet and lifestyle changes. Oftentimes these are temporary adjustments. And what else? Sometimes it includes body treatments, and not necessarily things that you need to go to someone to receive. Sometimes these are things that can be done at home. And also Ayurvedic supplements as well. These provide the real power behind making changes in the body by addressing the digestive system first. We're clearing the body for making way for bringing balance with proper foods, proper supplements, the things that reestablish balance in the body. So we look at things as opposite. We take the opposite approach. If there's too much dryness in the body, we provide lubrication in the form of oil. If there's too much moisture in the body, we work on drying the body out with herbal powders, topically, internally. So this is one way that we sort of look at individuals.
The balance. So to lean into that a little, because that's so interesting. How would you know, right, from your profession, how do you know if my imbalance is more dryness or wetness, as you referred to?
Yeah, through the signs and symptoms that you tell me about.
Okay.
And that also I observe.
Okay. So again, I know that we're seeing each other virtually, and I've only given you a little bit of symptoms, but thus far at my stage, would you ask further questions to see my balance there?
No, definitely. Yeah. So I would, ask you about your exercise habits, what you do in the summertime, what kinds of things you crave for food. Yeah, and what the health history has been, what kinds of challenges you've had as well.
Okay. Which is so interesting. I'm finding out the more amazing experts like yourself I interview, it is really the whole picture. There is not one thing. It is the story. It is everything happening now, including chronological age and everything.
Let me first say that, Ayurveda it's not a replacement for medicine.
Yes.
It is a system of health and healing. It is complementary. It should not be viewed as an alternative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when a patient comes in, or what do you refer to people that see you as? Clients. Okay. Everybody has a thing. As clients come in to see you, how do you, I'm guessing that's part of the intake to ensure that they have proper medical guidance ahead.
Yes, I definitely do. I make sure they have a doctor that they're seeing. If they have a particular condition, I want to know that they've been to the doctor for that condition, because what I can provide is supplementary to that.
Supplementary, which is
fabulous. And, I don't have the diagnostic tools that a Western medicine provider would have. Right.
Absolutely. So supplementation, I love it. So, this being, which I went over a little, like the 4th episode of our series, technically, if I was following all my providers, I have established, right, a medical provider. I've had labs drawn. And so I'm coming to you because I'm not dying, right, in this fake Catie / real Catie for hormone replacement therapy and things yet, but I have all of these exams and tools. And one of my biggest symptoms I keep going to these different providers is my mood swings. So about a week before my period starts, which my period has been all over the place, right? 23 days to 40 days. My partner and my family and I have noticed quite the swing about 7 days that week before my period, which is not my normal baseline. And it feels a little bit crazy. Like there's literally no control. I just feel like I could, in layman's terms, punch a person that walks in the room. It's just dying to come out. So let's talk about mood swings and how you would navigate through that with me.
Well, it's interesting that you're telling me that the time period when this is happening, it's happening in the week before your menstrual cycle starts. Yeah. This is a time Ayurvedically when heat is actually building up in the body. Yeah. So this is the time when women have those emotional challenges, those outbursts, or that anger really builds up.
Yeah.
So during this time period, that week before the period starts, what we recommend is treating your body as if it were summertime. So you want to have cooling foods and drinks, nothing that's going to heat you up inside. So avoiding things like alcohol, fermented drinks like kombucha, lots of vinegar, fish and chips. You wouldn't want to have that during this time. Yeah. So minimizing heat, staying out of the sun, and not getting into a sauna, avoiding like hot yoga class during that time.
Yeah.
Minimizing your exposure to heat during this time would be helpful.
Yeah.
Wow. And then for the body overall, we're looking at what's going on holistically. We're looking at all of you and then your history as well. So heat has built up in the body.
Yeah.
And, perhaps a cleanse could be used to help rid the body of excess heat. Perhaps Ayurvedic supplements could be used to reduce the amount of excess heat in the body on a gradual day-by-day basis. And then these dietary and lifestyle changes are really important. So minimizing alcohol is extremely important for stabilizing those moods. And also, this is a really unusual one, but taking garlic out of your diet is going to be really helpful as well. Garlic is very sharp and very heating, and it really should only be used in certain instances. So one thing, when you look on the internet, you hear about all these different, fad diets and, hot supplements or, what's trendy now.
Right.
Garlic we know it has a lot of health benefits. But for women who are experiencing problems with excess heat, like night sweats, irritability, anger, for anyone having irritability or anger, I take them off garlic, and it's a helpful thing.
Interesting. Okay. So now that my brain's like kicking, so garlic, and when you say come off of garlic, are you considering not just that week before when I'm heating up, but you're saying in general at this stage?
Yeah. I would take it out of the diet entirely. And that's hard to do if you're eating out.
Yeah.
But so what I recommend is don't have any at home. And when you go out, just try to, avoid the things that are obviously heavy on the garlic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So beautiful. So now I'm again back to that week before. So I'm in it and I'm not doing, and that makes sense, not putting things into my body or going into sauna, things like that are going to charge the heat. Should I be counteracting that heat with cooling?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah. So you can have extra beverages. You can have cooling drinks. Hibiscus is cooling. Warm. Let's see. Coconut water is cooling.
Yeah.
Rice and wheat products are cooling to the body.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything with wheat has a cooling effect on the body.
Okay. Now, throw a curveball for those who are celiac and have to stay gluten-free. What do you do? Just obviously they have to avoid wheat. Is there anything they supplement? I mean, rice, I guess you said rice, and that's a lot of
Yeah,
product.
rice is cooling. Oats is a good
Oh,
option. Buckwheat, I believe, is completely gluten-free and it's a good option too.
okay. Okay. So if I didn't know that if I hadn't like honed in that my mood swings definitely come that week before, would you spend time trying to really track that? Or how would you know how to treat the body, how to treat me based on, I'm like, I just get really moody all of a sudden, but I didn't have a timeline.
Yeah. So if it wasn't like directly related to the menstrual cycle, there's still probably an imbalance of heat in the body. So we have different words for this in Ayurveda, but I don't want to bring those in because they're Sanskrit words.
Sure.
So heat is the general term that I'm
Main.
using.
Okay.
Imbalances with heat can happen to all kinds of people for a
Sure.
lot of different reasons.
Sure.
So yeah, but for anyone, with these types of things, definitely
Yeah.
removing anything that is heating to the body, including garlic, would be helpful.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing then, I mean, in my, again, layman's terms mind, like the jalapenos that I love, the spicy foods, they would be cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm learning. I'm
No,
learning. That's all right. There's beautiful foods out there.
there are. And, so another way to look at this is, so you're removing these like hot, spicy things,
Yeah.
but you can add bitter foods to the diet because bitter foods are cooling. And bitter foods include things like dark leafy greens. So your kale, collards, broccoli, broccolini, radicchio, all of these delicious bitter vegetables you might really like.
Yeah. In the cooling category. Okay. Does it, just side note really fast for myself, does it take anything away if they're cooked? Like, is a raw, go ahead.
I would prefer that they were cooked.
Okay.
Yeah, the better you're digesting your food, the better your health will be. And having a lot of raw food in the diet
Yes.
is hard on people's digestions.
Okay, absolutely. So here I am, right? I'm with you. I've got this plan, especially for that week before my period. And we move on a little bit to look at like now my challenge is my cycles are all over the place, right? I ideally, I mean, I could feel probably my irritability and things increase and sort of keep track of my cycles that way. But it's 23 days and then 40 days till the next. How do you look and approach that irregular cycles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's one simple remedy that I give to people who I don't see as clients.
Yeah.
And so that is actually to be aware of the moon cycles.
Okay.
So look up at the sky at night and see where, what phase the moon is in. The moon and the menstrual cycles are very much, in tune with each other.
Yeah.
And so this can be a nice subtle way of bringing attention to cycles in your life. And it may not correct the problem, but it puts you in the mindset of being in tune with nature. And this is a big aspect of Ayurveda, being in tune with nature.
Yeah. Tell me more. So I'm glad you segued into that because, as a mental health therapist, especially working with a lot of adolescents, I see this unbelievable disconnect, right? Of the humans and earth and the human and the earth and nature around them, right? We're inside, we're on screens. So tell me more about that. Obviously in regards to cycles, that's a good way. What else? Like how else would you want me, right, to work on becoming aware and in tune with the world and the earth around me?
Right. Yeah. So, of course, like being in tune with yourself,
Yeah.
with your own cycles. What is your body doing? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
What does your stool look like in the morning? This in particular is something that a lot of people can't even tell me. They don't know what their stool looked like in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's important for, whatever provider you see. It's good to know what's happening with your stool because it's an indicator of how you're digesting your food, how you're building your body. If you're not digesting properly, your body's not building itself properly. So being in touch with what's happening for you is very important. And also, it's important to be in touch with the day. So, when the sun rises, are you getting out of bed? When the sun sets, are you thinking about winding down at night?
Yeah.
When it's noontime and the sun is highest in the sky, what is your digestion doing? Are you hungry at that time? So being in touch with these cycles of nature, the rise and fall of the sun,
Yeah.
is very important for hormonal health. In Ayurveda, we don't talk about hormones. I really don't understand hormones at all,
Sure.
really.
Same.
But they are, about sort of the rhythms of your body. And so, um, and so, being in touch with these rhythms and having a daily routine is super important for bringing balance to your body, which will balance hormones, I suspect.
Yes. Yes. All a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
But we have to, I'm so grateful to have you on here today, sort of giving it to us in different frames, right? We cannot just, there's so much to look at and slow down and take into consideration. So grateful for all of the stuff you're teaching us. But so like all of that is beautiful. And another symptom that comes to mind, right? So ideally, right, if I'm working through this as you're guiding me, I have added cooling foods and nutrients to my body instead of ones that heat it up. I am spending this extra time to become aware, right, of the moon phases, you're right, the sun rising, the sun setting, where I'm at during the day, what my stool and urine color look like. I read a book the other night with my daughter teaching, different colors of urine. I'm like, I don't know if I look down, right? So absolutely, like the awareness. So I'm working on those things and I come to you and I say, okay, and maybe those things are helping. I have this brain fog, right? Where I go to grab a water bottle and I accidentally grab a pencil or etc. How do you look at that through your approach?
Yeah. So brain fog often goes with this heat. It's another symptom of an imbalance of heat in the body. So for a lot of women, this can be rectified with the proper supplement. I have seen this in some clients. I had one client come to me. She was in her early 60s and she was experiencing really bad brain fog. It was so bad that she was considering leaving her job. She was having trouble making decisions at work and she was pretty miserable. And so I suggested an Ayurvedic supplement to her. And it was literally like maybe 2.5 weeks, she called me and she said, my brain fog is gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes natural healing doesn't happen quickly. Sometimes it does. It depends on the severity of the imbalance that's in the body. But brain fog is something that can be rectified pretty quickly.
Absolutely. So for you, obviously, I know if I'm hearing you correctly, you have your intake alone, right, is a plethora of storylines of this human that you're observing. So for you to tell me different supplements or different herbs that would work, it really depends on the whole picture, right? Versus the symptom.
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
So two individuals that come to me with the same Western diagnosis, for example, will be treated very differently. They'll have a very different approach because there's so many things that are different with each of us. We're all very different people.
Yeah.
And we've had different experiences in life. We have different sensitivities in our bodies. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So the last two symptoms, as I was creating the little list, and a lot of our listeners say these same ones, is now to like hair loss and libido. I'm not saying that they're the same, but those seem to be also along the lines of night sweats, the wakes, and things like that. So if I'm working on these things and come to you with this low libido challenge, again, same question, how through your scope of practice do you approach that?
Yeah. So for low libido, I look at what's happening with the digestive process. Is food being digested properly? Is undigested food waste being created? So we have this unique concept from Ayurveda called ama. Ama means undigested food waste. So anytime that you consume food and you're not hungry, or you are doing emotional eating, or you're snacking throughout the day, or you have a meal too soon after your previous meal, before that previous meal was digested, then you don't have the sufficient fire, the sufficient metabolism to break down that food. So that food that you put in your body, what happens to it? It has to,
Right.
yeah, it lingers in the body. This is the Ayurvedic perspective. That undigested food, it just lingers in the body, and it causes a wide variety of symptoms, including joint pain, general feeling of unwellness, malaise, constipation, diarrhea, skin problems. All kinds of things can result from undigested food waste. So, I look and see, do you have the symptoms of undigested food waste? And do we need to do some, we call it pachana in Ayurveda, some digesting of these toxins. They're sometimes referred to as toxins, which is a word I don't like to use because it's kind of vague. But this is what some people call it. It's the ama that's there, that undigested food waste.
Yeah. So
looking at digestion, improving one's energy levels, all of this, bringing these things into balance will likely bring libido into balance. But we have to start with digestion. We can't just go to the libido to fix it.
Yeah.
There are also some wonderful things from Ayurveda that can help with genitourinary symptoms. Dryness, burning sensation in the pelvic area, discomfort with intercourse. So, yeah, there are wonderful supplements for this as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So you've been the first person to ever answer the libido question with digestion as the first go-to, which I love, right? This is why we're getting different scopes. But how would you said my symptoms, right? You would look at the symptomology to see if I'm holding, say it again, unused waste.
Undigested food waste.
Digested food waste. Okay. And if I have the symptoms and you're like, yes, what do you do? Like, give me just some, whatever you feel comfortable insight into what that looks like.
Yeah. So usually that's treated with herbs. Some people think that like if they go out and exercise, it's going to get rid of this.
Yeah.
But that's not going to do it.
Okay.
So this ama, this undigested food waste, it lingers in the body tissues. And herbal supplements are really the best thing to help digest it. And one of those things is something that we are all pretty familiar with. It's ginger. So ginger powder is often used to digest undigested food waste. There's other herbs that are Ayurvedic, that are from India. And then there are Ayurvedic formulations that are specific for doing this process. Yeah.
Okay. All right. On the ginger note, really quick, what would be the best way you'd recommend people to start to implement ginger into their daily routine?
Yeah. Well, ginger powder is something I always have in my house. I use it for cooking. I use it when my body's too cold. I use it when I have digestive problems. It's a really great herb or spice to keep in the kitchen. So there's a couple things you can do. You can simply make a ginger tea.
Sure.
You can take ginger capsules. That's a nice way to take ginger. And if there are digestive problems, I would take it before a meal.
Makes sense.
Yeah. You can also make what we call a siddha jal. A siddha jal means an herbal water. So you can put like a half teaspoon of ginger powder into 4 to 5 cups of water and bring it to a boil. And you can sip this all day as your water source. And this is a nice way of of bringing ginger into the system.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I'm learning so much. Okay. So, and we will recap at least with what stands out to me, and I'll let you sort of review what you think, but that's fabulous. So in regards to answering the libido question, and so many women's that I come in contact with, myself and our listeners' concerns is this sort of drop. And you're saying start with the digestive system, start with that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So the other flip one, right, which we had talked a little bit about pre-show via email, is hair loss. And that's a huge concern for a lot of women itself. For you, bring your scope of practice into hair loss.
Yeah. So hair loss can be happening for a number of different reasons. And so there's no one way to address hair loss from Ayurveda. So I definitely need to look at each individual as far as, what's happening for this individual, what's happening for you. And then, we approach it in a number of different ways. Reducing stress is really important.
Yeah. Like with the extra symptoms, right? Like hair loss, that I'm not really sure for myself if it's a perimenopause symptom or if it's stress induced, or if we have necessarily a title for it. I feel like if I'm working with you and I am addressing the heat of my body, right, and trying to cool it down pre-period and throughout the month, if I am working on being just more aware and in tune with my body, its cycle, nature, the moon phases, if I'm addressing digestion and putting, ginger and things into my body and ridding of other things that are obviously toxic and alcohol and stuff, I feel like even if I didn't have a direct answer yet for hair loss and what to do, that those main steps could absolutely trickle and sort of help all the other symptoms maybe I don't even know I have. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Okay. And you see that, I'm guessing, right? I'm guessing this is part of,
Yeah. I mean, that's been part of my journey, and I see that in clients too.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Is there anything, because I know those symptoms were specific to me, but when someone comes in this transition of life, and, again, for myself, I didn't know it was a transition starting. Like, anything else you feel that we didn't really cover that your approach and scope of practice really aim to help?
Well, I guess I'd have to say that even for younger women are even experiencing these things like hot flashes and night sweats, in their 30s.
Yeah.
And that, again, menopause is not happening for them, right?
Right.
It's not an issue with menopause. Menopause is not an issue in Ayurveda. It's, the symptoms. The symptoms that one's experiencing around it. Menopause should just happen. It's just the cessation of the menstrual cycle. Hooray.
Yeah.
Yay.
But I like that painting. It's not that menopause is the problem. That's naturally a part of who you're being, but the symptoms that cause you distress are the challenge.
Right. Yeah. There's so many things to embrace about aging. There's wisdom. I think for me, that's the biggest one. Time has passed, and that brings healing for a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot of great things to embrace around this time.
Absolutely. So do you find that and of course I'm specifically discussing women, but the women that you work with, that while you're going through and hitting these symptoms, you're helping them embrace time, right? Time passing, aging.
Yeah, definitely. Once you shift your life to being more in tune with nature, then it has a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Oh, I got goosebumps from all of the conversations or all of the topics, and I super appreciate it. We have, our listeners throw in questions and things for us to ask different experts that come in, and really you covered most of them just in that conversation. But you might have sort of hit on but a lot of people aren't necessarily in menopause or even in perimenopause. Maybe they have a few symptoms and they're unsure. Can we be proactive in, helping or being ready for menopause in your scope?
Oh my gosh, definitely.
Tell us how.
Yeah. So, if there are like disturbances in the menstrual cycle for young women, getting those corrected can be a big support. If there's heavy bleeding, there's a lot that Ayurveda can do to help correct that condition. And what else? Yeah, just living in tune with nature, not aggravating the body with an excess of alcohol or hot yoga, especially here in the South.
Yeah.
Not exercising during your menstrual cycle. That will be really, really helpful. This is a concept from Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if there's any backing from Western science about this, but from our perspective, you should be resting during your period. So this would be a big support too.
Okay. Resting and embracing that, again, a natural thing is happening. The symptoms are challenging, but yes, I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't have any other questions from our listeners because we've covered everything, but for individuals that, including myself, that want to spend some time with an expert like you, what does that look like? Like, how do we reach you and what should we expect beyond that intake?
Yeah. So you can reach me online. I'm at Perimenopause Massage Ayurveda.com.
Yeah.
If you look up perimenopause massage, I'm probably going to pop up on Google. And yeah, you can call. I do offer a free 30-minute consultation for people that, want to know what this is going to look like for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually I start with a 1-hour intake. And after that intake, I ask my clients to stay in touch with me. So I use an app called Healthy with an IE. And the app is HIPAA compliant. My clients can send me a message anytime if something changes, if they've got a question about how to do something, if they're not clear about something, they can reach out at any time. And this is helpful because Ayurveda comes from India. So some of the things that I ask my clients to do they're not how we would think to do them.
Sure. That's right.
Yeah. And then usually a follow-up about 6 weeks later to review any changes, what's the next step, etc.
Okay. All right. So I know this is where I'm losing it, but so intake and then follow up, do you see individuals for a set amount of time? Not that you have to have an exact time, but do you foresee wanting to see one for so many months? Check-ins ongoing. What does that look like long term?
Yes. So I leave that up to the client. Yeah, I leave that up to the client generally. I do have a 3-month program if somebody wants the guidance, wants the support, wants something like a coach to sort of nudge them along the way. So I do provide that. But a lot of clients, they just want, a one-off consultation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Jennifer, this has been fantastic. I myself selfishly have learned so much from you, and I know our listeners have. I appreciate just a different approach and perspective with so much intent behind it. It's wonderful. I have asked everyone this, and you don't have to answer if you don't want, but if 53% I think now it is of our population in the United States is women, right? And it seems that there has historically been so little conversation around women's health. It's obviously growing. You've obviously been in it long before it's now becoming a little bit more of a fad. In your dream of dreams, what do you see happening in women's health in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh,
I know.
What a great question. Wow.
And take your time because I can edit out quiet time.
Yeah, this is a great question. I believe that women need access to care. Yeah. There are rural areas where people, just the educational level is... Gosh, can I start this over?
Yes, please. Go ahead. You're good. Take your time.
Okay. So, yes, I believe that access to women's health care is super important. Access to contraception is important. education is important. And, and with my training from this holistic approach, there's a lot of preventative health guidelines that people could really benefit from. So overall, I really hope that the United States as a whole becomes open to alternatives. I hear often that there's a shortage of doctors in the hospitals. My brother's a cardiologist. I hear it from him. I hear it in the media. Hospitals are struggling, and holistic providers could be a support.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would look like, but
sure,
some more integration, I think, would be wonderful.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful answer. Well done. That was perfect. And I absolutely agree. And maybe in the meantime, the more we discuss and get a voice out there about what is available, what is understanding outside of the box that has historically been described, and specifically women's health. I mean, women plus women are powerful things. So together, maybe the voice can spread. But absolutely, that was a wonderful answer. What you're doing for women all around and in your practice, we're so grateful. It's a beautiful thing. And I know that we're going to have more questions for you. So maybe one day you'll come back on as this episode airs and discuss some more intricate, because it's so unique. And I had no idea, I had no idea about it. So I'm going to guess some of our listeners haven't either. So anything else you want to add, or do you feel like we covered a good synopsis of you and your scope?
I feel like we covered a good synopsis. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thank all of our listeners for being on, and I thank you all of our listeners for tuning into Unsaid. I hope you found the insights shared today empowering and thought-provoking, and that resources are available out there. There is knowledge in women and humans that care. Yes, that's all I have today. I'm going to let it be at that. Miss Jennifer, thank you. Just know that even I skip over words. So I hit my little M, and I will edit those things out. Do you feel okay about what we did?
Yeah. I think it was wonderful.
Okay. Awesome. It's amazing. Yes, just to look at it through a different scope of, I mean, it needs to be, right? Mind-body connection and healing, and, my mental health brain loves that. But even myself, we all struggle with it as I sit on my computer all day doing telehealth calls. So,
oh, yeah, I understand. I need the reminder too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. And I just side note beyond this, again, I'm so grateful for you. In our description, we'll have all of your information, your website. If you have any social media handles or anything you want me to throw on, shoot me an email. And we do a little bit of marketing ploy before. If you have a headshot, I can pull from your website if it's on there, or you could share with me one or a picture you want me to share of yourself, if you want that, just so you get enough blast. And the last thing will be is when I publish it, it does break apart sometimes into little snippets of parts. Those I'll share with you in a folder as well. So if at all you feel like you could use them to market yourself, they're there for you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any questions or need anything from me?
I don't think so. I'm really grateful for all your questions. And that was, it's so nice when you find people that are open to this. Not everybody wants to hear this perspective or trust this perspective.
Yeah.
But, as a complementary system, it is fabulous. So I appreciate your interest.
Absolutely. It's so cool. And you nailed it at the beginning, calling out the supplementation, right? So you're not, because I do think there's a lot of that thought process is it's holistic versus, functional versus, and I think there can be a collaboration, but if we don't know, right, then there's not. And ignorantly, I didn't know. So yeah, I have a lot of clients I see as well. And then I'm guessing you're totally fine. I just refer them to your website and they can meet with you that way. Okay. Think about this too, now that I've interviewed and hopefully we meet together in professional aspects again. Would it be uncomfortable if you took me on as a client after this conversation? Go ahead.
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay. I always want to check. People have their lines, and so I want to be respectful, but I think it's amazing. Thank you again.
It really is.
Thank you so much. It is so cool. Do you get to go enjoy the rest of your day. You have to work. What comes next?
I have a little bit of work to do, but that's okay. I do my best to enjoy my work.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. Well, we will, we launched the perimenopause series at the end of this week, beginning of next. And so I would say it's going to be before Christmas, but it's one a week. And so it'll just sort of flow out. And I hope that there's questions and comments. And I thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Catie. It was wonderful to meet you.
Yes. Have a good one. Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay. Bye.